Hey, Dethroners! Welcome back to another episode of the Dethroning Your Inner Critic podcast. I'm very excited today to talk to Carly Pepin. So, she is an international speaker and consultant with a specialized focus on human behavior. Love that. She shares the message that regardless of one's background, occupation, or origin, every individual encounters personal and professional challenges stemming from their own perceived flaws, of course. And Carly emphasizes that the key to living a fulfilling life lies in how you utilize and transform these stories. So we have a lot in common. We have a lot of really cool things to talk about today.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Great. All right, so let's just start with what led you to your journey of self-discovery and growth and what you do in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that, there's pivotal moments in childhood where I went through specific challenges, and my perception was I could have actually avoided those challenges, which by the way, I couldn't have, but this was my perception. Had I
Yeah.
known more or been educated enough, right? And it's quite interesting because since then, I could see that it's really spiraled me to value education. Even though I didn't go to college, I still like, you have no idea how much I study and like I take so many courses and classes, and technically I do like online schooling and stuff still, even though I'm not getting any degrees or certifications and stuff like that. It's quite inspiring. But yeah, it's just this drive to understand what's going on and why, right? Yeah, totally. And when it comes to human behavior, I was mostly working on the outside world for quite some time, just the outside world of why things go on, why things occur. I got to do it in business. I got to do it in finances. I got to try to like understand and study relationships. But it really went to the inner world when I moved to Australia. I moved there thinking that that would solve my problems. I was very stressed. I was depressed, and I had all the, bucket list stuff on the outside, except for the husband and the kids. But I had the job, the house, the car, all that fun stuff. And then I was like, why am I not getting a husband and kids? I was like, it must be Los Angeles. LA sucks. I'll move to Australia. So I moved to Australia, and because it was all by myself, I realized the things that I was labeling as bad or negative weren't actually bad or negative. They were quite beautiful things I had in my life, but it was just distractions. I had frustrations with things because it was distracting me from what was going on the inside. And it was the first moment I realized, I remember sitting there thinking, well, you could go home. You're still depressed and it feels worse because now you're all alone and you have no friends, right? And I was like, you could go home. And I thought, but you know what? Like, what am I going to do at home? Same stuff as before. Everything's in me. And so I just decided to stick it out and stay. And that's when I found my first coach. And we started discussing human behavior, understanding our mission and our purpose, like our life purpose, and how we invest our time daily. And it just changed my life. Like it genuinely changed my life, starting to understand the challenges we attract in regard to reflective awareness. Like there's certain universal laws and principles that it's just it, that's it. It's like a magnet. There's a positive pole and a negative pole. In the universe, there's positive poles and negative poles, and it's actually working in this very specific way that when we tap into that and understand it, it's not if this is going to happen. It's funny because sometimes my husband and I will be talking about stuff or and we laugh about this all the time. And he said he was like, he'll say he's gonna do something, and I'm like, I bet you anything this is gonna happen. And we laugh because we see the universal law behind it. Once you start to understand it, you start to make these predictions that will actually occur if you don't see people shift their perceptions, and they come true. I'm not magic, I'm not special. I'm just starting to understand the dynamic of what's occurring and underlying behind our challenges, like to a greater degree. There's no magic behind this. It's just knowledge, education, and consistent implementation. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
It's it's science. I mean,
It
really,
is.
right?
Yeah.
When you stop, right?
Uh,
So this is what I love everything about what you're saying. We speak very much the same language. But, we are actually hardwired to first look outside, right?
Yes.
Right. What are the things that are going to fulfill me, right? What do I need that will fill my void, right? My feeling of, the areas of my life where I'm not yet whole or I'm not yet enough, right? And so and listen, you're talking about
Mhm.
education, okay? Uh,
Oh, yeah. This one's important,
that's
apparently.
right. That's right. My thought about education, okay, is that we are conditioned from the time that we're very, very young to focus on that outer life and that outer world. And given these ideas of what it means to have a successful life, when really the foundation of a successful life, like you're saying, it's really understanding how to cultivate a very different relationship with yourself first from inside, you know? And see, I love what you said, that you're like, well, LA isn't it. I need to move to the other side of the world and maybe that'll be it, right? So there's this quote that says, your pain pushes you until your vision pulls you, right?
Yes, I love that.
Isn't that wonderful? So,
Yes.
so, um, so many people, I'm sure that you interact with, certainly that I work with, they're like, I don't have a purpose. I don't know what my purpose is. And then they think, well, first I have to figure out what my purpose is. And then once I figure out what my purpose is, then, then I'll start to feel the way that I want to feel. And it sounds like for you, for me, of course, for so many people, but, in something that you said, it was doing the internal work that actually had you gain the clarity for what your purpose was. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way I love how you rounded everything out and just all the tidbits and stuff. Because yes, that I've never heard that quote, but do I not agree with that? Like with
Mhm.
certainty. Pain
Yes.
first, then the vision, right? I love that you shared that. And yeah, it makes sense too, because I know, dethroning the inner critic, obviously it's all about the self-work. So this is the most important part about that, right? Like as you're talking about this, it's when we think about our vision and our purpose, I can't tell you how many times people come to me and they say, I don't have a purpose. I don't know what it is. I need to find it. Again, you're looking for something on the outside. When we say find it, that means it's missing inside you. Straight up, you'd be dead if you had no purpose. You are not a purposeless human being. That work on the inside is to clear out the brain noise, the subordinations, the injected authority that has caused you to think that your purpose should be something different or looks like something different. We genuinely, every day of our lives, are actually connected to our purpose. These are the things that no matter what you do every day, I don't care if you're, full-time depression, full-time anxiety, there are moments of every day of your life that you have where you don't feel stressed. Something energizes you, something in a sense makes you feel fulfilled, something makes you feel enthusiastic and inspired. That little moment right there is what you pay attention to. That's part of your life purpose, and perhaps it is going outside and gardening, spending time with your family. I love my dog. He's like extended family member. Spending time with my dog gives me that. Being out on the water gives me that. Growing my business gives me that, right? So I'm working with people gives me that. It doesn't just have to always be in career. Can you make a career out of what you love? 100%. No matter what you do, you can make a career out of what you love. But does it always like show up in your career? It doesn't. It might just be showing up in your day-to-day life. And when you pay attention to those moments of inspiration, those little tidbits, sometimes you're watching a movie or listening to a song and it gets you a heart opening or a tear of like inspiration and gratitude where you're like, wow, that was so moving. That's you connecting to something meaningful and purposeful to you. You can't have any of those tiny little moments if you're a purposeless human being. You wouldn't even want to be alive. You wouldn't want to exist. You just wouldn't. Like, that's why we're here. So the
Mhm.
more that we just pay attention to how our life is demonstrating, we already have that inspiration, then you're going to start to understand what it actually is. Another great way to pay attention is how you spend your money. If I break down your bank account every month and you're like, well, Carly, I spend the most money on my rent or my mortgage. Well, why do you have that house? Why do you have that
Mhm.
place you live? Because I actually spend more on my education and personal development than on my mortgage, right? So my life demonstrates that I'd rather cut down that expense for that lifestyle because I'd rather invest in my education and personal growth. That's
Mm.
the most important thing for me, right? So if you're spending more money on your house than education and personal growth, I know it's not as purposeful for you, and that's okay. What's your house there for? Again, is it for the beautiful garden? I keep saying garden because my mother-in-law, she loves gardening. And you see her garden and she's lit up. And then you look at your garden and you're like, this is your life purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so stuff
Mm.
like that. And that's why she has that house, by the way. It's, yeah, just because the garden. And some people are doing it because they want to have a place for their family, right? And that's really important. Some people really love beauty and aesthetics, so they're willing to invest more. It's like, what are all these things that you're investing in to the greatest degree? And what does that mean to you? Because that meaning that we have behind it is your purpose. It's there. And you've spent, yeah, so much time and energy beating yourself up on the inside because you thought it should be this way. You're supposed to be this way. Life has to look this way. When the truth is that there's this infinite possibility. You look at 8 billion people on the planet and all the different cultures and all the different countries and all the different ways of doing things. And then we sit here and we get stuck in our houses thinking, oh, it's not working because it's not this one exact way.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, it's
Yeah,
wild. And then we lock ourselves in.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And as you were talking and you were talking about, the people that are stuck in depression or anxiety, and they get these, small glimpses of what fuels them, right? The flip side of the exact same coin is somebody that is so busy, so focused on getting to that arrival point, getting to that goal, climbing this mountain, and not taking that time
Mhm.
to really reflect on, where is my joy? Where is my happiness? And they just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. And
Mhm.
I've certainly, I end up working with a lot of people that have already climbed the top of the proverbial mountain, and their lives are falling apart because they're at the top of the mountain and they're just realizing now that they've spent, some of them, several decades climbing the wrong mountain for the wrong purpose. And again, I want to go back to the pain pushes you, right? So wherever we are at, right, if we're in this place of stuckness, uncertainty, no matter where we are, there is a purpose for that too, right? So in your evolution, right? Let's go back to, you know, when you were stuck. Okay. Let's go back
Mhm.
to, you're convinced, you know, Australia it is, which, by the way, I'm sure it is amazing to live in Australia. I can't even
It was
imagine.
worth it. Yeah, it
I'm
was worth
sure. I'm sure.
it.
Okay. But even to, live out that dream, right? I'm going to go from LA to Australia and then finding out, no, this still isn't it. What was that like for you? And how did that whole experience kind of
Mhm.
transform you and transform your life?
Yeah, I definitely had a little bit of a breakdown when I was there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's funny, it was kind of a dream to travel. I remember when I was in high school, I worked at this surf shop, and the owner, he's very versatile, has had an incredibly um just an incredible life. And when you listen to the things that he's done and even the things that he's doing now, like he became mayor of Malibu. He's very, very cool guy, very cool guy. So part of what he did, I remember him sharing with me, was after his first wife passed away, he hopped on a sailboat all by himself and traveled around the world for 2 years. And when I heard that, I was like, what? You can do that? I was like, that was amazing. That was the first hit in my mind that travel was important. And it's like you said, Either pain's going to move you or your vision moves you. Now,
Mm,
it's something that I had loved doing for quite some time. I kind of reconnected with it at a certain point, but I wasn't giving myself permission to travel and explore and do exactly that. Go live and experience a different culture. The second I
mm,
heard that, I was like, I want to go experience different cultures, right? And I didn't give myself permission to do that. So, how beautiful that I had that level of pain to drive me out there, right?
mm.
That's amazing. Of
Yes.
course, I went for what we thought were the wrong reasons, but also this is part of my destiny, right? So we can see how I needed the pain to get me to do what I was destined to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. So super grateful for the pain. Then I get out there and it was interesting because in the first month I was trying to get adjusted and my challenge was is I wasn't working for myself at the time, but I was able to work from home. Great opportunity. So I didn't have to find a job. I still had a great steady income, right? So it was an amazing opportunity. But that was a challenge when you move to another country because oftentimes where do you make new friends? At jobs. So I wasn't meeting people, wasn't connecting with people. And about 2 months in, I just remember breaking down and crying and being like, I can't, like, now I'm all by myself. I'm all
Mm,
alone. The friend that I had moved in with, well, he actually was incredibly helpful in getting me set up and introducing me to cool things to do in the neighborhood. He had this job that would have him work 6 weeks on and 6 weeks off. So it just so happened the first 2 weeks I was there, he was able to show me the ropes, and then he's gone for 6 weeks, and I'm literally like all by myself in another
oh,
country.
wow. Yeah.
So that's why it hit me so hard. And it was
Mm,
amazing because I remember calling a friend who, or she just happened to be on Facebook at the time, by the way, an older woman. She's at the time was in her 50s, but very wise. And she's lived in France and traveled around the world. And I was telling her what was happening, and she goes, give it a shot. She goes, worst case scenario, you spend a couple more months and you come back home. And she goes, best
mm,
case scenario, it's the best decision you ever made. Right.
mm.
And I was like, okay, thank you. And that's when it sunk in. So what was amazing is something inside me shifted after she said that because I
Yes.
went to this yoga studio, and this is the amazing thing about our world, right? Like every opportunity is available to you on a regular basis, but it takes us shifting our perceptions to actually see it there. Okay. So when
Yes.
people say when the why is big enough, the how is, falls into place, that's not true. The how is consistently there. When the why is big enough, you see it. You see the how.
Oh,
It's never
I
not been there.
love that. It's not even that
Yeah,
it shows up, it's been there all along.
all along. It's been there all along.
Yes.
And
Mm,
finally, because now my why is big enough, I show up
yes.
at the yoga studio I've been going to this whole time. I I look at the bulletin board, which I never look at the bulletin boards, and I see my advertisement for the first coach, right? And she nails exactly how I'm feeling and how she got to the other side. So that's the first, and I just remember taking the little sheet and being like, I'm doing this. I didn't have the money, by the way, because
Mm,
coaching is very different than therapy, and I didn't understand it at that time. But she was $1,200. She's $300 an hour. This is coming from someone who's used to doing like a $25 copay. Now
right.
someone, yeah, they're asking me for
Yeah.
$300 an hour. But I
Right.
was like, even every therapist that I had gone to, like no one told me I could get to the other side of this. Everyone kept
Yeah.
telling me I had to live with the things that I was like struggling with. So I was like, she got to the
Oh,
other side.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to try this. And what's amazing is I borrowed money from my friend. He was great about it. And I was like, I pay you back next month, I promise. And he goes, okay, okay, let's do it. Super sweet. He really helped me. But the first session, what was shocking to me is as opposed to focusing on the problems that I was having at the time, it was the eating disorder, the depression, anxiety. What we focused on was understanding my core values and life purpose. And
Yeah.
then my homework was to go out and live it. That was my first session. And
Yes.
after that, I immediately felt better. And
Mhm.
then my next session was starting to understand reflective awareness, right? And so we're starting to understand universal laws. And then she's teaching me how to like cultivate gratitude, not gratitude like this is I'm okay with it, I forgive you. Like gratitude, like thank you so much. No matter what someone's done to you, like, thank you so much. I wouldn't change it for the world. I actually love and appreciate you. I wouldn't change you, like gratitude like that. Like, it became this life-changing opportunity. And it's funny because after that 1 month package, I remember the 4 sessions sitting there and realizing that, and this is the inspiring part that all of us experience when we help someone get what they want, we get what we want, right? No
Yes.
matter what we're doing, whether it be in business or day-to-day life, when you help someone get what they want, you get what you want. And I remember realizing that in that moment and looking at her, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're getting paid to grow. I was like, you can do that? And she laughed and she's like, yeah. So I wound up signing up as an apprentice. She trained me, her coaches trained me, but that was it. Like after it took 4 sessions for me to be like, I want to share this with the world. I want more and I want to get it out there. So it's like, but it's that moment, right? That I've been going to this yoga studio, by the way, for months now, and I've never noticed this sign, and it's up there the whole time.
Right.
This woman goes to that yoga studio. She lives in the same neighborhood as me. It was a really small town that I moved in Australia. So it's like, man, as soon as the why got strong enough for me to get to the other side of the challenges, the how, literally, I saw it. It's been there the
Yes.
whole time, and I saw it. And
Yes.
so that's part of it too. It's the desire to get to the other side. And once we have the desire and we find the how, then it's time to put in the work. Because also, had I not put in the work, I wouldn't have gotten the results. 100% I have certainty. So it's like also putting in the work and getting to the other side and then continuing on, like however far you want to go. Life really does have a limitless opportunity for us in the sense that for me to say that I know what my life is going to look like the day that I die is ridiculous. I
Mm.
can't. I have
Mhm.
a generalized idea based on what I'm connected with in this moment, but
Yeah.
it'd be crazy for me to say it's not going to expand. Like, I don't, yeah.
Right.
So
Yes.
the possibilities can be endless. And if we just stay connected to who we are, that why is so strong. We keep seeing the hows, we keep taking action on it. We're inspired by it because it's our life purpose. And all of a sudden, you're incredibly fulfilled every day. And that is there for everyone on the planet, every
It is.
person. Yeah, every person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, a couple of things. I love that what you're really saying is that in just that internal desire, I want to get to the other side of this. I know that there's something else that's possible for me. I don't even know what it is.
Hmm.
I just know that I don't want to keep sort of spinning in this same old mind with the same old thoughts and the same old beliefs and the same old emotions and the same old choices that are going to keep giving me that same old life. I'm ready to get to the other side.
Hmm.
And so it's actually in the peeling away of that old mind
Hmm.
that your purpose, it's almost like your purpose found you.
Hmm.
You didn't find your purpose. You sort of took off the layers and
Hmm.
layers and layers and layers that were maybe sort of keeping you from really being able to see what you're really put on this earth to do and the impact that you're really supposed to be making, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, okay, now, because we both, right, we both had, kind of similar experiences, right? Of course, no accident that we're speaking today, right?
Yes.
But what I find, and I'm wondering if you find this too, okay? I personally believe that this old mind, remnants of this old mind, because it's so hardwired and it's so conditioned, that it never really leaves us. And
Hmm.
we want it to leave, but that, as we keep going on our journey and we
Hmm.
keep stepping outside of the next comfort zone, right? So for you at the beginning of this journey, it was like getting a coach and paying that money and investing your time and your money in yourself. And, that was outside your comfort zone. Then it becomes the next little, you know, thing outside of our comfort zone. And typically it's that, it's that those same thoughts and beliefs that, kind of keep replaying. So as you're building your purpose, as you're building your business, as you're building your life, do you find that there are
Hmm.
times where you have like remnants of that old mind?
Hmm. Yes. So here's the cool dynamic with this as well. Because it's funny, I was just talking to a client about this. So we're working with her on her financial patterns. She's an amazing with her business, by the way, super inspiring. super inspiring, like where she started and where she is now. And she had some old money patterns come up, and she knows where they're coming from. She knows where they originated with family, right? And so 100% gonna hop on the phone with her. We're gonna work on clearing the initial like root cause trauma of the money charges. Like I definitely suggest doing deep dives and continuing to work on those components, right? But here's the other interesting thing about this, right? Because she had some anxiety come up. And she hasn't had anxiety in quite some time. But again, this is reminding her of old money patterns that had happened with her family. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll work on the initial trauma trigger. And let's also acknowledge something else that's coming up, right? Sometimes we remember it and link it so much to our past that we forget that it also has a purpose in the present. So she basically has had a shift where the partner that initially came in to work with her is moving out. So her expenses has increased, right?
Mm.
And it increased to probably 30% more monthly than she had before. And plus she's going to pay off the loan to him. So now we're talking like about 40 to 50% extra a month, right? That's a big jump. Any person on this planet is going to have some stress if that occurs, okay? Like,
Right.
I don't care
Right.
what your money, I don't care if you have no money patterns in the past, that's going to create some stress. So it's also not to have unrealistic expectations present day, to even have these kind of patterns reoccurring, but realize like with her, which this is where the heart opening is as well, is she got to see the level of growth that she's at, right? Because the
Mm.
first time we had started working together, the business that she had, it was just a vision. It's nothing concrete. Where present day, it went from I need a partner and I can't do this by myself to Carly, help me work on my money block because I know I can do this, but I'm
Yeah.
having trouble seeing the how, right? So if we listen to that statement, you go from I can't to I know I can, but I'm having trouble with the how because I'm just stressed. And it's like, of course you're stressed. And what a beautiful opportunity for you to move from one stage of your business and finances to the next, to the next, to the next. So we're going to consistently have these levels. And it's like, if we don't see how these challenges serve us, we won't actually get to see what the universe is trying to show us. In this particular case, this woman's brilliant, by the way, it is teaching her that she can do this by herself. Right. And so part of that empowerment is making sure that she has that certainty within herself and she's putting together some really beautiful actions to make sure she creates that finances on her own and she has certainty. So she can have certainty. I don't need that partner and I have this on my own. Right. So that's what we get to create. Right. So it's cool. And it's like, had the universe not like instigated the same old wound from the past with this
Yes.
new present individual, how long would she have relied on having business partners for that she does not need? Like, she just doesn't need them. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
a little bit of a combo where yes, things are going to repeat. Because it's just like there's a cyclical world. If it's so overwhelming and emotional for you, right, that you can't handle it, there's definitely some core wounds that will require some genuine healing, right? But when you do that healing and get to the gratitude for the core wounds, you shift that emotion. So when it repeats present day, it still is stressful, but it's a stress that you feel like you can overcome. When you have
Yes.
these stresses where you're like, I can't overcome this, I can't overcome this. I know that there's deeper things going on, but the amazing thing, it's like you clear it and it doesn't make the stressful thing go away, but it gets you from going to, I'm stuck, I can't do this, I'm blocked, everything to, okay, now I can do this. And I'm starting to see how to do this. And now I can take action. And the funny thing is those stressors, especially like if they're not aligned with your purpose, you'll just drop it. But if
Mm.
it's aligned with your purpose, it's
Yes.
not even something you want to avoid because you see this as on the way to the greater vision. And
Yes.
these are actually things you've been wanting to embrace and tackle. But again, like that old wound kind of slowed you down.
That's
Like,
right.
yeah, it slowed you down.
Yeah.
So it's a really amazing dynamic when we kind of look at that the universe is bringing us the perfect challenges to help us not only overcome our past, but also our present simultaneously so
Right.
that we can live a life that inspires us the most, just in our purpose, in our values, and not be rid of challenges, but embrace challenges that we want to pursue.
Mhm.
Because putting these things out there, creating an impact, creating a change, and funny enough, like whether you're creating a change in your family with your kids, that's a
Mhm.
huge challenge, or with
Yes.
the world. That's a huge challenge. Both are
Yes.
equally massive challenges. So when I say like big impact. I know that you could just have one kid and have a huge impact. So we're saying micro, macro, right? Yeah.
Yeah, without
Yeah,
question. In
for
fact,
sure.
I mean, I have three kids and they're all older now. My youngest is 15, but it was actually in raising them that I became face to face with my own inner struggles and my own inner challenges. That, of course, where I saw it there, it was also holding me back and keeping me from really taking action in these other areas of my life. So, right, it's like the way we do one thing is the way we do everything, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about your results of the inner critic assessment. You took my
Yes.
free inner critic assessment online, so thank you for doing that. And what did you find in the results? What surprised
Yeah.
you?
It was
And
really fun.
yeah,
When I got it, and it said perfectionist, and I was like, "Am I a perfectionist?" And then I read your stuff because there are areas of life where like I'm definitely not a perfectionist. Like,
right.
my garden, that's my mother-in-law's purpose, and I'm like, "You can come over, like
Yeah,
help me."
yeah.
But when we're asking the questionnaire, it's more how I live my day-to-day life. And it was funny because as I'm reading the breakdown and stuff, I was like, "Yeah, that's me." Right? Because on the back end, I'm consistently like, I'm studying, I'm trying to understand things to a greater degree. I'm connecting with friends and individuals that I know help me master these areas of life. And it's funny because it's these things that I love. Like I realize they're so fulfilling to me that being that perfectionist is just like, it's such a gift because it's
Mm,
like I get to invest this amount of time and energy and money in like perfecting this thing, which by the way will never be it's never going to be perfected. It's a
yeah,
never-ending journey. And I
right.
get to like when I say like I don't have enough information, like I love that too, because
Yeah,
I get to learn for the rest of my life. I get to learn about human behavior for the rest of my life. I get to share information for the like rest of my life. Everything that I love to do, I get to keep learning and growing with it for the rest of my entire life. And to me, that's the journey of perfection, which ultimately there's no perfection in it. I mean, that's the irony of it, is we're
yeah.
not destined to have the perfect part is the imperfect. Like that's the perfect part. But then we seek the perfect because we just love it so much. And we're like, can I just keep doing it all the time and give me
Right.
more? Yeah. So when I read the description, I was like, yeah, that's me. That's me. Give me more. Give me more. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what you're illustrating now for all of us, which is so really crucial, is that what you're enjoying is in this present moment, the pursuit of, right? Like aligning your actions right now with that goal, but you're not trying to get to the destination of the goal. You're
Yeah.
actually enjoying exactly what you're doing right now. And to me, that is really the key to life, right?
Yeah.
Is we're pursuing the goal, but we're not attached to the goal. The goal isn't the end result. It's what we're doing right now that fuels our joy, that opens our heart, that has us connect first and foremost to ourselves, right? Because that's, like you illustrated, when you first sought your first coach, that's really the foundation of it all is how are we fostering a relationship with ourselves where we're letting go of that idea of perfection as being an arrival point, right? Or the
Absolutely.
goal being a destination. I think that's
Mhm.
I think that's key. Yeah.
That is really beautiful because even in the journey of raising kids, and I know that you knew this, every parent knows this. In the first moment you have your first kid, I've seen it so many times, we have all these rules and regulations of how things are supposed to be, right? And you have that dead set end goal. But then the
Yes.
world open up to you and it's like, wow, had I kept that goal, my kid wouldn't be who they are today. And my kid,
Totally.
I love my kid who for who they are. And it took all of that. It was the journey that got it there, not your dead end goal. And that's why it's so important. Like we have the goals, but also letting it be flexible on the journey as we're enjoying it, uncovering it, discovering it to a greater degree. And yeah, and we're learning so that we
Oh,
can
yeah.
manage the greater goal to a greater degree. If you put 10,000 employees under me right now, I don't know how to manage it. I'm not ready for that. But
Right.
if I baby step to that point and I stair step up, I could do that. I know
Yeah.
I can do that. I say I can do that. So then remember, it's just such a good thing to remember. It's like you couldn't even handle your end goal probably right now. So the journey is to prepare you and enjoy the whole process to get there. Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? I just sent something to my 22-year-old son. He's my oldest. I sent something the other day to him, some meme I found on Instagram, but it was something about, I'm sorry that you had the version of me that was still, growing and learning, and you, son, were the one that helped me grow up. We kind of grew up
Yeah.
together,
The
right?
teacher.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, I am my third is 15, right? She's my daughter, and I am a very different human raising her than I was when I raised my oldest. But when we look back on our, the old version of ourselves, like, who you were before you had all of your breakthroughs, it's like we actually have to welcome her with all of her faults and all of her flaws and all of the things that she, did or didn't do, and the mistakes that she made. And, we've got to sort of include that as to
Love them.
need it, right? Yeah. And we
Yeah.
need to be that person in order to get us to
Yeah.
where we are now. And, even looking at now, right here, you and I are talking, right? Who knows what is going to open up? Who
I
knows what's going to
know.
be possible, right? That's the really cool thing about being on this journey and continuing to
Yeah.
let go of the arrival point. It's like, oh my God,
What's
the
next?
possibilities, right?
Yeah.
Become
I don't even know sometimes. Yeah.
I know, it's
Uh,
amazing. And then, um, you know, and I'm wondering if you experience this for yourself. So there were these sort of, lifelong goals that I used to fantasize about, right? And I had
yeah.
no idea how to get there. And of course, way back then, I believed, well, if I can figure out how to get there, and once I get there, that'll be the answer to it all, right? And, some of these goals, I've started reaching, right? As you say, the baby steps, the baby steps. And then, as soon as I hit the goal, it's like, oh, no, wait, well, that wasn't it. Okay, well, maybe it'll be the next goal. Maybe it'll be the next goal. And now I'm at the point where, like, it's like I set the goal and then I completely forget about it. And then at some point, when I'm open to receive it, the puzzle piece kind of comes when it's ready.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it feels like magic. You feel like you're kind of losing your mind a little bit. You're like, wait, I'm grounded in actual reality here. But do you find that happens for you too?
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing because it's funny. There's so many different examples that I can give of it, right? That's inspiring. But like one of the next businesses that my husband and I are going to put together is just sort of just like a normal business, right? We're just going to put together like some commercial property, right? And it's really not that big of a deal. It's like you talk about it, it's not super exciting, but I actually am really inspired by doing it. So it's funny because we've been talking about it for years and I haven't really found the education to that I've wanted to understand it to the degree that I'd love to. And I haven't been that crazy about getting there yet because I'm like, but I'm doing all this other stuff with the coaching and I want this done first and this done first and all these things done first. What's funny is all the things that I want to get done are starting to get done. And there's a certain financial goal that I want to hit as well before I move into that stage, right? Because I want a certain level of financial stability before taking risks. And it's interesting because like as all that starts to come together, guess what comes across? Someone says to me the other day, like, oh yeah, I'm also like when I sign up for this certain business advisor thing I'm kind of diving into and tax thing, they're like, we also are connected with individuals who specialize in this and they do trainings and stuff all the time. And so you'd be able to work with them, included in your package. I was like, perfect timing. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's like stick to the vision, stick to the vision. If I had tried to push that a long time ago, I wasn't ready for it. There is, like I told you, as I'm saying it, the things in my coaching practice that I wanted done. We have a vacation rental kind of thing, and there's things there I wanted sorted out. There's financial goals I wanted sorted out, right? There's just being grounded in a certain, like, even neighborhood that I'm living in right now that I wanted sorted out. Now that all those puzzle pieces are coming together, the how's always been there. Those humans have been around for decades, but I'm ready for it. And so
Yeah.
now it falls in my lap, right? And we could call it magic, but is it magic? It's
Mm,
you. When magic happens, um, the reason why I don't want you to call it magic is because you're discounting yourself. That's you and your
yeah.
evidence of you investing in your life to such a degree over a long period of time that this thing was ready to be magnetized towards you. You were ready to see it, you're ready to take that next step. And the magic is you. You put
Yeah.
that hard work, that time, that energy in. You're the magic.
Yeah.
You're the magic that drew that in because of this could be decades of your life that it took to get there. So when you see something that's magic, it's like ask yourself, how did that come into fruition? What did I do to create that? And give yourself some gratitude and appreciation for what you've done to create
Mm,
that in your life. That's not luck. That's not magic. That's 100% you, time, energy. And when you see that, it's humbling. Like you
yes.
don't feel proud, but you're like humbled by your journey. And you're like, whoa, I have been dedicated to this and it's working. And that's
Yeah.
part of your purpose as well, by the way. That's a long-term goal coming into fruition. That's your purpose.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I love all of this so much.
me too. Yeah, it's been a great
Yeah, oh my God.
conversation.
We
Yeah.
could seriously talk about this for hours, I
I feel
think.
like we could.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Um, so you have
Uh,
so much wisdom to share. Where can people find out more about you and more
yeah.
about the work that you do?
Yeah, definitely go to my website, carlypepin.com. It's got all the information on there, social media channels. You can sign up for the newsletter. I put a lot of information on there as well. Workshops, if you want to connect with me, everything is there. So yeah, you can connect with me one-on-one there too.
Awesome. Carly, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This was just wonderful.
Thank you so much too. It's been amazing.